Hey, welcome to the Woodturners Worldwide Symposium and my demo here on marketing on Instagram. I hope you're having a great time at the symposium. Let's get started. So, you are obviously interested in Instagram. We're going to talk about a lot of things that are just going to be relevant through all of social media in the beginning, and at the end we'll get right into kind of more Instagram specifics. But it is the big new platform that everyone's using. There's always going to be smaller emerging platforms that come along, and that's going to be up to you if you want to get involved with it. If you want to get into TikTok or you want to get into deeper rabbit holes into Reddit and some of those. But let's talk about this. Instagram is a very visual medium, which is what wood turning is, right? I mean, you can see it. It's very beautiful. And even the process, the shavings coming off very nicely. It's very alluring for sure. So we're going to talk about your purpose. We're going to talk about a couple different platforms you can get involved with, general guidelines, and just social media in general. Engagement is everything. Engagement is everything for everything in social media, and we'll talk about exactly why, and then how to create your own content, how to create growth within your platform, and then some just kind of general tips and specific tips that are going to help you as you're going along. So there are no social media experts, only people who have a good idea of what's going on at that exact moment, and even that's pretty iffy. Yeah, I've always wanted to be quoted, so I just decided that I would quote myself. So that's just a quote from me. But the fact is, a social media expert, people will tout that all the time, but if they aren't doing it for a year, all of a sudden they're not an expert anymore. It changes so fast. And that's the problem with social media is it's just always changing. It's always updating and advancing. And so you do kind of have to stay on top of it. Because of that, though, I want to talk about some general principles that are going to help you no matter what platform you're using. The first thing is find your purpose. Why are you doing this? Because that purpose of why you're doing this will dictate how everything else is built on your platform. Why you're doing it will be what type of content, the type of stories that you give in your content, when you post, how you post, how long is it, just everything, right? And I'll get to that right now. So start with the end in mind. What are you hoping to do? Are you hoping to sell? Are you hoping that a gallery picks you up? Are you just looking to connect with other people, or you have a brand and you're trying to build your brand? So I want you to kind of think, we'll just pause for a second. Why are you doing this? You're obviously in this class. What's your purpose of it? So think about that first. And then what I'm going to ask is that everything that you do from now on this platform focuses on that. And if you want to focus on other things, that's fine. Build a second account. But on this account that we're talking about right now, maybe it's your wood turning account, focus on this purpose and this purpose alone. What is your purpose? Okay. Tailor everything to that purpose, and then please focus. Focus on it. And I want to share this. Richard Woodcraft, he's a friend of mine here in Salt Lake. Awesome guy. He is really good at this focus part. So he will post pictures of his kids every once in a while, but it won't be just a picture of his kid. It will be a wood turning, woodworking related that has a picture of his kid in it. And people are a lot more forgiving for that. They're like, oh, cute little kid in there, but this is wood turning. It's kind of funny how people get. They really want everything to fit into nice little boxes. And so if they start following you and you're talking about wood turning and you're talking about a concert you went to and your wife and a vacation that you're on and then a little bit more woodworking, honestly, they don't know you yet, so they don't care about anything else. They followed you because they saw a cool woodworking picture and they joined you. Or, it's someone from work and they wanted to, someone who knows you is okay with all of the rest of that. But someone who doesn't know you is following you for a specific reason, and when you start to break out of that box, they will stop following you. I don't make the rules. I'm just telling you how it is, okay? So you need to focus on one thing, and in this case, woodworking, wood turning, And then people will get used to that and then go. And I will get into even more a little bit later how if you can actually hyper focus on one thing, it's going to be even better. So when you're selling, who do you sell to? And then where do you sell? So let's say you sell locally. Okay, great. You only want to sell locally. You don't want to ship your stuff. That's totally fine. Maybe you want to try to sell inside of a store that's just down the street, and you want to soften them up before you go in there to that boutique. But who are these people? Where are they? Are you just do local fairs, and you want to try to get people to come and buy things at the local shows? That's great. Then you want to build a brand around a very local presence. If you're doing more high dollar things that you can ship all around the world, you want to build more of a global presence. The thing with social media is you're going to build somewhat of a global presence no matter what. You're going to have people from England and from Hawaii and from France and from Australia that are following you, but that's just how social media works. But you can focus yourself on kind of a location. And there's a couple ways that you can do that. One, you have to understand who's buying, and then you have to understand where they are. So if I start using hashtags just wood turning or a hashtag that's, art, you're going to get people from all over. But if I start using a hashtag that is, say, Poughkeepsie, hashtag Poughkeepsie, hashtag Poughkeepsie, I don't know, whatever the county is. Do the county, do the city, do some of the local ones. Maybe there's kind of every local place has maybe hashtag visit Poughkeepsie. Things that the local people are using, then you're going to get a lot more local people because the algorithm is going to allow them to find you easier. It's going to push it up to them, right? Oh, you hashtagged Poughkeepsie because you had this soccer thing with your kids, and hashtag Poughkeepsie, and then we should show you also this other person that also hashtag Poughkeepsie while you're selling wooden bowls. And so now you get all these local people that start following you. Does that make sense? So you need to understand who you're selling to and then be in that spot where they can buy. Galleries. So I was talking to someone about building their social presence, and we were like 10 minutes in the conversation, and he goes, can I stop you? He goes, I don't want 100,000 followers. He goes, I don't care about that. What I care about is that these 3 galleries follow me because I want them to get my work into their gallery. That's all I want. I was like, oh, step back. Sorry, I should have asked your purpose. Let's talk about following those galleries. And then you're going to comment on their social media posts. You're going to follow the person who runs that account. Maybe even comment on, they're on a vacation on their personal account, and you're like, oh, that looks so beautiful. Glad you're having a great time. You're starting to build relationships with them so that they have a connection to you, right? And at that point, they're going to be a lot more willing to look at your things, invite you as they get to know you a little bit more. So be involved with their posts, comment on their posts. It'll pop up every time you comment on their stuff. Every time you comment on one of their posts, it'll pop up for them. They look at it, they see that you're engaged, they see who you are, they wonder, I wonder what this person does. You click on it, there it is, right? Also, along with your purpose is your name. If you get to choose your name, and if your name is, Bill Johnson, well, no one's going to follow you because of woodworking. It's going to be a lot more difficult. If it's Bill Johnson Woodworking, people are going to be like, oh, he does woodworking. I now understand his purpose. I follow him because of the woodworking. Let me go onto his page. I like woodworking. And he's also in Poughkeepsie. That's cool. And so they'll click on you, and then they see your page, and they go, oh, this is really cool woodworking. And then they follow you. Okay? So part of it is building your brand around your purpose. Understand who you are. If maybe it's Bill Johnson Fine Art because you want to get into a gallery, and they're going to be a lot more open to a fine art person. Or if it's, you want to stick that's more like the most mediocre woodturner, or Big Ash Bowls. Kevin Hicks has his. Well, that's funny. And you're going to get people that are just a lot more engaged with that. You're probably not going to get big galleries that are like, that's the one I want to, but you're going to get a lot more personal sales, build a brand, get people more endeared to you. So you need to figure out what's your purpose. I won't beat that one anymore. But honestly, if you're just like, I want to come in and I want to connect and I just want to meet people and that's what I want to do, great. Come in and do that. You still want to focus. You still want to have kind of a focus on what you're doing in the wood turning or woodworking or, do this with anything, pottery or whatever it is. This all works the same, but you have to have a focus. And some people are known for captive rings, right? Emily Ford is known for her captive rings, and people follow her because they really enjoy that. They think that's really cool. And she does baby rattles. And so she's actually reaching out. She doesn't care if Woodturners follow her as much. She wants, young moms with a brand new baby or they're pregnant and, oh, this is so cool. I want to go buy one of her captive rings. I feel like I know Emily. The science behind it is called the parasocial relationship. And so it's, I see you all the time and I feel like I have a relationship with you. It's like the news anchor at night. I feel like I have a relationship with this guy. I've watched him for 10 years. Well, he doesn't know who you are. That's kind of how social media works, except if they want to, they can reach out and you can actually build a real relationship there. So keep that in mind. Also with that purpose, if you're trying to sell and other woodturners are following you, they're probably not going to buy your stuff unless you're a big name and you can put some stuff on, put it up and see if some woodturners get it. But for the most part, woodturners are probably not going to buy your stuff. So you are going to have to focus on who would buy your stuff. So use appropriate hashtags. If you're selling to pregnant moms, using the hashtags that young moms use, hashtag first time mom, hashtag, baby. Woodturners aren't going to find those ones and follow you, but young moms are. So build your brand and build your audience according to your purpose. Galleries. Again, if you're going to do a gallery, like if you're selling to a young mom, you can do, on the move photos and, hey, I'm out doing this, or I'm picking up a new tool and isn't this cool, and on the move. If you're doing it to a gallery, you're going to do high-end photos. You're going to have a photographer come in and photograph all of your art that's really nice, and then you're going to take the time and you're going to post it and you're going to talk about it and you're going to, write a whole story that's real artistic like, because the gallery's going to look at that and say, oh, that is nice. They don't care that you're, hey, I'm out, on the town with my baby who has a rattle in her hand. It's not going to do it for the gallery. So understand your purpose. Okay, and then everything you should be doing, you say, how can I add to this community? How can I add benefit? And when you can add benefit, people say, oh, this person is adding to my life. They are adding to me. They are much more willing to give back. If the first thing you do is you jump on, you go, hey, buy my stuff, buy my stuff, buy my stuff. We all walk into the grocery store when there's one of those tables there, and I don't care what the cause is or how good it is. When they're there, you don't make eye contact. You're like, ugh. Because the first interaction you're going to have with them is buy my stuff, buy my stuff. Instead, you need to take a step back and say, how can I add value? What can I give to the community here? What can I give to these young moms that's going to get them excited and get them engaged and connect them with me? So add first, then sell. And be known for something, right? So All right, so that was pretty awesome. You almost kind of forgot that you were in a presentation right now. So be known for something, right? Like bring new value, bring new insight, and that's where this kind of comes in. This is a hook tool. It's a tool rest that actually just moves around the platform. It's really engaging. Huge shavings coming off. Anyone sees that. A woodturner, someone who might buy the product and they go, "Whoa, that was awesome! I want to buy that. I want to learn more about that." Because here's one of the big parts of selling: the more they feel connected to you, they're not only buying the product, they're buying a part of you, and they're buying an experience. So when someone asks them about that, they can say, "Oh, I follow this guy on Instagram, and he makes the most beautiful bowls. I've watched him make them, and for a year I've been watching him, and I've really wanted one, and here I finally bought one." And so they buy a piece of you, they buy the experience that you have been giving this whole time, and they buy a bowl. If they're already going to buy a bowl or they're already going to buy a cool gift, well, they want to buy it from you because they now feel connected to you. So on the platforms, Instagram, short, punchy videos, photos. Okay. Facebook, it's great for connecting just with individual people. You want to, make some friends, connect with people, share photos. That's what Facebook's for. TikTok, short, punchy videos. It is a pretty young crowd. And YouTube, long form videos. So if you're ready to start filming longer videos, you're really good at something, you feel like you can share it with the world, you can edit, do all the sound, graphics, and all of that, great. You can get into YouTube. Most people are not. And that's why I'm going to stick with Instagram, because the next part, Instagram still has organic growth, which means that you can post something and then people will just naturally find you, right? And they'll start following you. They're starting to kind of take that down more and more. And you saw the same thing with every social media platform will allow complete organic growth, which just means you put it out there and people follow and everyone just kind of, it's a really cool space. And then they start to shrink and shrink and shrink. And what they're doing is they're shrinking the organic growth and they're making paid growth. So now you have very little organic growth and very big paid growth. And that's how they make their money, which is what Facebook is now. So I used to work at Ancestry.com. I worked heavily with the social media team. They had over 1 million followers. And every time they would post, 2% would see their post, because you can actually see how many people see your post. 2% of people see the post. That means if they have 1 million followers and they've been working for years and I helped them build that, Facebook takes it and they just crunch it all the way down to where you only get to actually talk to 2% of the people that follow you. You have to pay for the rest. I have to pay for people that already follow me. That's why Facebook is not a great place anymore to have good growth unless you're using ads. And it's just kind of a rough spot. You want to connect with people? Great. TikTok, very volatile. It's a new emerging business, and so it could be the next big thing. Like, you could get on there and be huge as any new social media thing comes along. You do have to be careful. There's a lot of privacy issues right now. I know they just passed a thing that allowed a couple U.S. companies to buy stock in TikTok because of the Chinese concerns that they had over privacy, and now... Anyway, there's a whole big thing about it. You can read up on it if you want. Just know it's young, it's growing, but it's a very young crowd. But if you get in it now, you could be the next big thing, right? You could have 200,000 people and be the biggest woodturner on the platform when everyone finally moves to that, if that's what happens. Or the whole thing crashes, because they almost did. They almost banned the whole thing in the U.S. They've already banned it in like 5 different countries. And then you lose everything. And then YouTube. It's an incredible platform, but it's very, it's harder to get into just because of how much you have to put into each video you put up. Be consistent with posting. So these are just general guidelines. Be consistent with posting. A daily is a good rule of thumb. Honestly, with how Instagram works now, they don't do a timeline anymore. You can do two or even 3 times a day. There was one point where I was posting 5 times a day, and I was getting 1,000 followers a week. It is exhausting, though. Constantly coming up with, what's the new thing? How do I do this? What am I gonna type right now? What's the angle on this? I got to film it. That's a full-time job, and unless you have a lot of time on your hand, it's not worth it. Don't post a bunch once a month. There's a couple of people that I follow, and I've stopped following enough of them. They will take a bunch of pictures, and then once a month they'll just like dump a ton of them onto their page. And so as I'm going through my feed, I get like 6 photos of theirs all in a row. Boom, boom, boom. And people don't like that at all. They will give you a little bit of space, but it's like someone walking into a party and like elbowing people out of the way. Hey, look at me. It's just really obnoxious, and it feels very spamming, and people don't like it and they won't follow you. So you have to be consistent. So once a day is a pretty good cadence to post. If you're only going to post once a month, your growth is going to be very, very small. And don't spam. Don't jump on other people's pages and say, hey, follow me, follow me, follow me. Again, it's that sales thing. You need to add value and people will come to you, and then that relationship is much more solid. Add value. Just constantly look at who am I actually trying to speak to, and how can I add value to them. Have personality. There's people that post and don't write anything below, and they don't do very well, right? Unless they're in a bikini, which is ridiculous. But if you're doing woodworking, write something. Have some personality. Maybe you're shooting a little video. Have some personality to it. Kind of, make it personal, and make it quality, right? So you want people to. It can't be a blurry photo. It can't be a photo that's off-centered and or a video. It can't have a long lead that is going nowhere because people just go past it. And then use effects and sparingly. There's ones where you can take one photo and put it into 9 different Instagram photos, and then you post it, and then when you go onto your main screen, it's like a giant photo that's all actually 9 photos, and those people get dropped really quick. Because when I'm scrolling through my feed, I just see a tiny piece of excuse me, a tiny piece of a full photo, and it's just like, what? And then it's over and over and over. I'm like, I don't want to follow this person. That's obnoxious. So use those kind of things sparingly when new programs come out that promise that it's going to be like the next coolest Instagram, thing to help your photos. Just be careful with those. Okay, engagement is everything. Here's the thing. Big surprise. Big companies are out to make money. The longer you are on their site, the more money they make. Okay? And this is how it works. It's because the more ads that you see, the more money that they make. So if they can keep you on and keep you engaged longer and longer, they can show you more ads, they make more money, which is why Facebook now has decided, instead of showing you things that you want to see, they show you things you don't want to see, because then you get mad, and then you post, and then you come back to tell that person, what's going on. Or they love those posts where it's like, tag this and send it to people, or forward this, or Facebook wants to delete this, share it around, and they don't care that you're mad at them. They just care that you're there, because then you see more ads, and then you get mad, and they make more money because you see more ads, and then you get more mad, and then you see more ads. Okay. One of the metrics that they use is actually time on page when they talk to their shareholders. Oh, our time on page actually increased from 5 minutes and 13 seconds last quarter per person on average to 5 minutes and 17 seconds. Everyone's like, oh, shares go up. You see more ads, they make more money. So the longer they're trying to keep you on there. Because of that, though, you can use that, because if people like your stuff and they're engaging with it, they are going to take your stuff and they're going to say, we have to share this to more people. Richard's whatever post, they have no idea what you did. Richard's post, what he did, it's good. Send it to more people. Show more people. Show more people. Show more people. Because they want engagement. If your post is engaging, they pop it to the top. They show more people. So you come up with good content, and all of a sudden, a lot more people see it. But it's got to be engaging, right? So it has to prove engagement, which is likes, which is shares, which is saves, which is comments. So your post should create likes, shares, saves, or comments, and we'll talk about that in a bit. Use hashtags, because that's how Instagram understands, or all social media kind of understands, you all people belong together, and you people belong together. And so if one of you likes this post, then the rest of you probably like this post too. So you do Woodturners Worldwide. is the one that I use for my Instagram account. Woodturners of Instagram, woodturning, woodworking. And then there's, so find some of those that you like. And then there's also going to be more general ones. TBT, Throwback Thursday. So Throwback Thursday was just people did it for a while, but this is an old post that I had. I'm going to bring it up and I'm going to share it again. So there's going to be new hashtags all the time that you can kind of jump onto. But go in and find, you can actually search for different hashtags and it'll tell you how many people have used it. So like, oh, this one's been used 5,000 times. Well, you don't want to get into one that's been used 20 million times because it buries you so quickly. There's so many other people using it that you just get completely buried. So you want to find one, and you don't want to do one that's so unique like basket weave illusion bowl. Like I bet 3 people have used that. And so it's going to be like, oh, these 3 people might be interested in what you're doing. Well, yeah, but that didn't really help anything. You want to find ones that are somewhere between used 1,000 times and 20,000 times, and then you can throw some bigger ones in there as well. And I think it taps out at like 27 or 25 hashtags. Don't use that many. Use like 3 to 10 hashtags if you really want. 10 hashtags is about as much you want to get. Anything past that, and it just seems like too needy, too clingy, right? That you're trying too hard. So be aware of that. Here's one about personality, right? Building a personal brand. So Pat Lapp here on Instagram, he wears horns on his face shield, and so he's very recognizable. He also has very piercing blue eyes and a big beard, and so when he looks in the camera, he's got a very distinctive face, but he's also got a lot of personality. Because he'll look, he just kind of does funny faces. He kind of does interesting things. So people like to follow him because they like to be entertained. And they'll be like, oh, Pat, that was so funny. Well, they just commented and they liked it. And maybe they sent it to one of their friends, which means he got a like, a comment, and a share, which means his engagement ratings just went up, which now means more people are going to see it. Not only the people they got shared to, but now Instagram's like, we don't know what this post is, but it's doing well. It's got a lot of engagement. Let's send it to everyone else. It's got more engagement than other posts that are happening. Those ones will get buried. Yours will go up. Okay. Make them look forward to your content. They should kind of expect what's going on and then look forward to it. So do you do kind of more complicated concepts that are a little bit more long form but really interesting? Do you do interesting tips? Do you do huge shavings coming out that just people love to watch? Do you do a time lapse where it's just a really sped up project that they can see? What they should be looking forward to it. And part of that as well is don't just do finished product. And we'll talk about that in a bit, but you'll want to do a process. So if you're doing, say, a large hollow form, well, are you out there showing a picture of you cutting the wood with a chainsaw and then you mounting it and roughing it the next day? And then you kind of making some of that shape or fixing this or working on that and then hollowing it and finishing, cutting up and finish sanding it and then coloring it and then the finish on it and then a nice, rotating or a nice finished picture. Well, you brought them along for the journey. They are expecting to see the next step of that process. And so you can talk, hey, I'm going to do a hollow form and I'm cutting this out of a big elm tree burl. Okay, great. Now they've seen you do it on the chainsaw and they're like, well, I want to see the next step. Well, here's me roughing it out. Oh, cool. What's the next step? Well, here's me hollowing the inside. Cool. What's the next step? Here's me finished sanding it. Oh, that's looking really good. Hey, here's me actually doing some stain on it. And they're like, oh, they're invested. They want to come back. They want to see more. Those posts do very well. Do a series. Okay. So you have to ask, why would anyone want to follow you? So every time you're posting, why would anyone care about this? Or why does my audience, right, my purpose, my audience, why would they care about this? What value am I adding? Okay. Oh, man. Steve Jones. I love this guy. Okay. Here we go. he's the SKU master, first of all. He is doing a code with a SKU. So this is Steve the Woodturner. He's on Instagram. He's, I don't know, 5th-generation Woodturner, and he is at the Meet the Woodturner. He is doing the interview there with Pat Carroll, but he does these like close-up, awesome videos on Instagram where and he's just focused on Woodturners, and he just wants to share, right? He's getting his work out there, and he doesn't demo. He just loves sharing, and he is known for something. He is known as like the just SKU master. He does pull cuts with SKUs that just ribbons go flying. He does a concave curve with a SKU, which is just insane. That's awesome. Those are really fun things to do. So what are you good at? What can you lean into that people are like, nice. Because I'll tell you, even professional turners, none of them are great at everything. Walk up to any one of them and be like, hey, if I had to ask you to do a demo, what one would you really be nervous about? If I was like, hey, our person didn't show up, can you do this demo? And you'll get every single one of them. They'll be like, oh, I would never do this. I would never do a basket weave illusion. I would never, I just can't do finials. That's just not me, right? I'm a bowl turner. And so even they are interested in things that they can't do. So find what you're good at. Lean into that. When you're leveraging other accounts, so you're like, I'm going to build everything. So far, we've just talked about building everything yourself. How do I, post things, what kind of pictures, and that I'm building myself? But can I actually use other accounts to build up my own prominence as well? So, asking to share. I get this one all the time, where people are like, hey, can you share my work? And top 9 means when you open up Instagram and you look on someone's profile, the first 9 pictures that show. And so if you scroll up and I'm like, you don't have a single picture of wood turning, why would I share your random picture you just sent me? Because what's your purpose there? If someone looks at that and they're like, oh, I really like that, and then they go to your page and they're like, there's no more of this. I feel bait and switch. I feel like I was cheated here. So they're not gonna join in. They're not gonna follow you. You need to have a purpose first, and so that if someone does share you, then when people go to your page, there's value there, right? They don't feel like they got a bait and switch. Build relationships. Let's take an example here. So robust. Say you just got a robust lathe. Do an unboxing video about your new lathe. You got a new tool rest. Talk about the new tool rest. Share it. Take a nice picture of it. Photo of your work with the robust logo in the background, right? And I'll talk to you about why. And then Instagram stories and tag robust in it. So if you do any of those things, the unboxing, the tool rest, review, a picture of you working, and there's like, obviously it's a robust lathe, and then you tag robust in your post. But if you do it in a story and you tag them, that's great as well. You can do both, actually. And the reason, and then Feature Friday where people share it. But let's talk about that again really quick. So the reason you would want to do that is because these social media managers for these companies, especially the woodworking ones, they're not full-time social media. Powermatic, Robust, any of those guys, they're not going to say, hey, we'll pay you to sit all day in front of your computer and look at pretty pictures. Some corporations do, and they pay those people very well. A lot of these companies don't. And so what they do is they say, hey, you do marketing, or hey, you do customer service. I heard we should be on Instagram. Can you go take care of that? And they're like, okay. And so they go and they like post a picture once every week, right? Their job, they have a full other job they're doing, plus they're supposed to be doing this, but it's difficult. You are going to come in, you're going to swoop in, you're going to make content for them, and then they're going to share your stuff. And I'll show you some examples of that in a little bit. Okay, real quick, creating content, you have to have great photos, unique videos. So it's got to be good, unique, and built specifically for your audience. There are some sites out there that are going to help you with this, that Canva is great at creating graphics, or if you've seen the graphics that have like words on it or a little animation and it's got a picture and you're like, wow, that looks really professional. You can download Canva on your phone, just an app, and then you upload photos to it, and you can add words and little graphics and save it and then post it. And it's super easy. So do that. And then the layout is another app where it's just a photo collage. So if you're like, well, I have these 3 photos, instead of just putting them one photo and then people have to swipe to the next one and then swipe to the next one, you can just open up layout and put 3 of them in the order that you want and then post 1 picture. And those work really well because there's more happening. There's different angles. Sometimes wood turning can be hard with one photograph because at one angle. You know, I have tried to photograph hollow forms and it is really difficult, right? So you're like, well, at that angle, well, you don't see the mouth. Well, at that angle, well, you don't see the, like, what angle do you film this thing? But if you can do it at multiple angles, and then you can put all those together, it's going to be a lot more engaging. You're like, oh, now it's like I can feel it. Now it's like I can hold it. People that can hold it are a lot more enticed. They're a lot more excited about it. They're more willing to engage, they're to like, to share, and they're more willing to buy because they feel like they've held it. Okay. And then there's some easy video editing clips. There's a ton of them that have kind of cool effects. You can film like, well, I just filmed like 5 different videos with my phone. How do you download a video editing and you just go this one, this one, this one, this one, and it shoves them together, and then you go save. And now you have 1 video, and you can kind of like pull them around a little bit to shorten this one or that one. And now it's 1 video and you post 1 video. And it was super easy. Something that would have 15 years ago taken you, 3 hours to film it and then to plug it into your computer and then drag it over and then put it up on the thing and then put it in and then do this and then render it and then save it out. Like you can do it in a couple minutes now. So finding a good app is great, and just look for reviews and make sure it's one you want to do. Some of them have a lot of like, oh, you got the cheap version for free. If you'd like the nicer version, you can pay for it. So you just have to decide how much you want to put into this. Okay. We talked a little bit about this already, process versus finished. So are you showing the process along the way, or are you just doing finished pieces? Now, it goes back to your purpose. If you're a gallery, you're probably just doing finished pieces because that's the people you want to show to. They only look at finished pieces. They don't want to see how the sausage is made. A buyer that's an individual buyer kind of does, because it does a few things. It actually shows them the value of what you just did. Wow, that was a lot of work. I didn't realize that you harvested the wood, that you processed it yourself, that you like how much work it is to turn it. Like, that was so much work. Yes, I'm willing to pay $200 for this bowl. That was a ton of work. Great. You're now justifying the cost of what you're doing and helping them buy a story. People are much more willing to pay more money for a story than they are just a piece. Keep that in mind. Here's a great example. So Andy Phillip, I think a lot of us know him. Phenomenal turner. Just really cool projects that he does. So here's a finished product on the left side. You'll see there's over 2,000 likes on that one. This is work of his that I've shared. Okay, 40,000 views, 100 something people that have seen that or that saved that for later, and then you can see the shares there as well. But I did a process one right afterwards. So I showed the finished one, and I said, hey, look at my next post to see how this was made. Because people look at this and they go, oh, that's cool. I don't know how that's made. But when you're like, hey, now let's see how it's made, woodworkers are really excited about that. And so then it was just a series of photos on one post that kind of walk through everything that he's doing. Because he does a great job about doing the process. He'll do a photo or 2 a day walking through the entire process. People know what to expect. They get excited about it. I can share his and package them together, and it did very well. So 150,000 people saw that one, over 4,000 likes on it, over 700 people I think saved that one because they wanted to see that process. They liked that a lot. And my hope in what I do on Instagram is to help other turners, right, to promote them. And so this actually helped bring him more exposure. I was hoping that he would get a lot more followers because of this. So process versus just finish. You just have to decide yourself. Building anticipation, we talked about that. That's part of that process. Details matter. I think this one goes into mine. So I'll show you this. So here we are. This is a calabash bowl. It's fairly large, but there's a couple things I'll show. So let's do that one again. See my fingers behind that light? So not only are you getting that big wiggle, it's an engaging little video, but you can see the light. So I actually moved that light around so that you could see my finger coming through it. One more time. There. So that right there shows you that is a thin bowl, right? You all of a sudden it's thin this way, but you're like, I can see his fingers through the bowl. So how are you setting up your shots to make it engaging? I move my lamps around just to get that shot where you can see the hand through it. So, okay, details. And then simple can work. Simple works great. We've talked a lot about a lot of different things. Don't get flustered. Simple works just fine. A simple little video. This one, simple. Turning Design on Instagram, he did this post here that had just a couple different bowls and the actual type of wood that was on them. And it got a ton of engagement. People are like, oh, I've always wanted, elm actually is pretty nice. Maybe I do want to turn elm next time. And that's what camphor looks like. And so people get excited about that. Ironbark eucalyptus, I've never even heard of that. Oh, that's really beautiful. I'll have to remember that. I'll save that photo. Or I'll comment like, oh, I've never heard of that. And then all of a sudden you're getting more engagement. Again, engagement is everything. Okay, leveraging brands. This is kind of more marketing to 300 level class right now, right? Leveraging brands. How can you make other people do your work for you? So you've made good content. How can we leverage it? And the thing is, you have to add value. You cannot beg them. You can't be pushy with them. You have to add so much value that they can't help but share it. And I'll walk you through that right now. So build relationships with the brand. You're posting pictures of them. You're doing things that are building and adding value without you ever asking anything. They're rushing to get their job done. I'll pull this out of the way. They're rushing to get their job done, and they want your help. They'd love your help to come in and just help them a little bit, and that's what I'm going to show you how to do. So tag brands in your post. So when you actually do a post, you can tag it in your normal post, but if you tag it in their stories, it's going to make it even easier, and I'll talk about that here in a second. Create great content that brands want to use. There's a few companies that do this really well, and I'll show you that, I think, in the next slide. But marketers are always looking for great content. And so what you can do is you can make that content for them that is branded with their stuff and branded with your stuff, and they will share it. They'll be like, oh, good, someone else made something and I don't have to do anything. Share. Social media, you're going to get over the fact that people ask permission. No one asks permission. They're just going to share it. But they have, the rule is you have to give credit. You have to give credit. You can share pretty much anyone's work, but you have to give credit. You never post anything without credit. But just know that the community doesn't ask. They just do it. And that's kind of if you're going to be on social media, that's just kind of how it happens. But it's exposure. People are letting other people know about you. So just lean into it. All right, here's a great example. Powermatic and then SawStop. So this post right here on Powermatic didn't take that picture. Someone else did. And actually, there's the name at the bottom there that you can see in that post. And all Powermatic did was great photo, new content. Someone got a lathe, they set it up, awesome, and reshare. So they just shared that from someone else. Same thing with the SawStop over here. Oh, someone just got their brand new SawStop. Look how pretty that looks. And boom, share. And then SawStop even actually put the name on the picture itself, which I think is pretty cool. So they created the content, then they posted, and the big company saw that, liked it, shared it. Now it's got to be quality. Remember that, it's got to be quality, and and then they have to be able to see it. So you got to tag them in it, and then boom, they got shares. And you can see on that SawStop one, 59 comments already by that point, almost 3,000 likes by people. And a bunch of those probably went over and like, oh, who's this? Oh, and look at that though. Okay, this is the key. See the names of those people? I don't know if you can see. And quite honestly, on my screen right now, I can't see either. But one I know says Woodworks at the end, and one says Woodworking at the end. Their brand is very clear in their name. And so you know. And so I look at that and I'm like, oh, that's not just some random person. That's someone who does woodworking. I like that. I'm going to click on that. Oh, I'm going to follow them. I bet each of those people got a good number of followers after that, because Powermatic has like, I don't know, 90,000 followers on their Instagram, something like 100 and some thousand followers on Instagram. So now a big account that's all woodworking focused just shared your work or shared a picture. So would you think in the beginning you're like, oh, I'll just take a picture of my lathe and that'll do really well and get a bunch of followers? No, but guess what? It works. So have an open mind about what kind of content is going to do well. Here's another one. I was actually pulling this thing together, this presentation, and I was like, here's a great opportunity, right? So Pony Jorgensen does clamps, if you guys know that, and they were doing 10 days of big clamp giveaway. And I was like, watch this. I'm going to go on. I'm going to make a graphic. I'm going to talk about what they're doing, because they didn't have anything on their stories about it. They're just a post, and they were doing one post a day, and it was like it's a cool thing that they were doing. They just weren't promoting it a lot. They weren't putting out great content. And so I just took the graphic that they used. I put it on the stories. I did a link to it, because on your stories, you can actually link out to websites. So people just swipe up and it goes to your website. So it's a great way to sell. And for them, it's a great way to get you onto their website, or a website that they sell on, right? A third-party vendor. So what they did is if you tag someone in it, it pops up under theirs and it just says add to your story. So all you have to do, if you put something in a story and tag someone in it, I do this all the time. Please do this with me. If you do something really cool, put it in your stories, and then you can just tag me in it, and it literally takes me, I think it's 3 clicks, and I can share your work. So I click into it, I click add to story, it pops up. I might have to resize it a little bit, and I say boom, and then it's done. Otherwise, if I'm like, oh, I'm going to put someone's work in the stories, it takes me about 2 minutes to save out their photo, send it over, maybe write something up. Remember, what was their handle again? Go back. No, just tag someone in your stories, and all they have to do is hit 3 buttons, ding, 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 and it takes about 7 seconds, and now they've shared your work, and they have just completed their job. They are doing their job, and their boss is happy. So create fun content and allow them to share. Again, this is just working with bigger brands to get the promotion. Okay, this one's fun. I'll share this one now. Yeah, quick and cool, right? Here, I'll show you their handles right there. It's Kevin Anderson Designs, and that was Starbond Adhesives. Starbond is one of those that does really well with taking content and then resharing it. So I've done some videos and with Starbond, just a couple quick tips, tricks here or there. They have new products come out. They have a light brown, a dark brown adhesive, and do a little video, and boom, tag them in it, and they'll share it. And now all of a sudden you got this brand that people really like. You're using it. They're like, oh, well, that's a really cool tip. I didn't realize that. And then they go and follow you because they want more. Whatever content you had, if they like it, they want more of that content. That's why it's important to kind of find a purpose, right? Because they want to see more of that content. If they get there and you start showing more of other content that they're not interested in, they'll stop following. So create great content and be, I guess, predictable, quite honestly. But always think outside the box. Okay, so I talked about this a little bit. This is a great example. This was as I was putting this together, this happened. So I was like, yeah, screenshot this. He posted a photo in his stories. All I had to do was tag to your story, boom. And then the next post comes up, add this to your story. So I opened I added to the story, done. I've now shared his work, and it was super easy for me. Make someone else's life easy, and they will really help you, right? That's part of what this is about in the marketing side. Consistency is key. You need to post, once a day. So if you say, Matt, I can't, no, because I only turn on Saturdays. That's fine. Take 7 photos or 7, photos and little videos, but make it 7 of them. Post one, and then on Sunday post one, and then on Monday post one, and then on Tuesday post one. That's how it works. If you post all of them on Saturday, people are going to be like, who is this guy posting all this stuff on Saturday? And then no one hears from you for an entire week. Great friendships are built one day at a time. Now, if you leave for a while and then come back, they're like, oh, you're a good friend because we built one day at a time. Even though you left, you're back, we're friends. You can't show up once a month and then expect people to say, we're friends. A real friend starts out, it's more than that, right? And then once it's a good friendship, then it can be once a month. But if you want to keep growing and building more friends, more followers, it needs to be consistent. Consistency is key. And you're gonna play on that algorithm, right? We talked about the algorithm where they don't know what you did. Instagram, Facebook, any of those guys, they don't know what you did. They just know that it's working, that people like it, that they engage with it. So build on that. And there's a couple ways you can encourage people to like. So you can say, oh, hey, I just made these 3 finials. And then you remember, like we did a little thing on Canva where it's finial A, B, C, and it says A, B, C on the bottom. Post it and say, which one looks the best? And now everyone's going to vote. Oh, it's A. Oh, it's B. Oh, I like B and C. And now all of a sudden and then they like it or they do that. And you just got like 40 comments on there. And Instagram's like, I don't know what's happening, but that post is amazing. Kick it up, let more people see it. And then every time that happens, they're like, that account is amazing. Kick it up, let more people see it. See, and it just grows. If you only post a picture, no words below it, no questions, nothing to engage people, there's no real benefit, right? So use the algorithm. And then use whatever tools that they're doing at the time. So IGTV was the big one for the last, 2 years. And if you do IGTV, they're just longer form videos. Then people really like the platform wants to use it, and so they promote it to more people. It gets to where you can see it as you're scrolling through. You're like, I didn't care, but now there's a whole link of all these IGTVs. Well, Reels is the new one, and Reels is just like TikTok, right? It's got songs to it, and I don't know, it's kind of cheesy, but you can put popular songs behind your videos. And the reason they're doing it is because Instagram is nervous about TikTok, because if it's the new cool young thing, then maybe Instagram isn't anymore. And so they have to constantly be like, what company is out there? What features are people liking? And then we have to steal those so that we're still relevant, right? Because if they're not relevant, no one buys ads. They don't make any money. So they are kind of stealing that idea from TikTok, and now Reels is the new thing. And so I'm going to walk you through a video a little bit later where you can kind of see how that works. Again, stay on message. Just talk to them. Don't post things outside your message. Vacations. If you're going to be on vacation, totally fine. I'm going to show you a picture in a second that's going to help you with that. Focus on engagement. Quality over quantity, do both. But quality is going to be the most important. Here's Camy's Garage. This guy's cool. I like him a lot. He does some really cool projects. He did this when I first started following. Within like 2 days, he went from 1,000 followers to 2,000 followers because he posted a cool video. He gained 1,000 followers in like 2 days when he went from 1,000 to 2,000. So he doubled his followers, which is like, I don't know. I was watching and following along. It was insane. But his quality is just super cool. Let's take a look. So he's all these tips and tricks that he's giving, and some of them are super subtle, but he just showed you that cardboard right there where he showed you the circle. Like, that was a great tip. The glue where he was able to reverse chuck it. Great tip. Oh, he just put a flat spot on there, and now he's going to, okay, drill it, and he puts dowels, and that's how he connects all these pieces together. So he just walked you through the entire process of how he was able to make that. Right? So just a really cool concept where it was just quick, punchy little videos. And what he could have done all of that on his phone, where he like shoots this one and then sets his camera up, hits screen, and then does one little piece here and then sets it up. And those were all hyperlapse, right? They were all sped up. And so he just recorded a bunch of little videos, and then he probably just went on to an app and went, this one, this one, this one, this one, this one. It put them all together. He put his end cap logo on the back and posted it. Now, he could have sat down at a computer and done all that as well. I don't know. I didn't ask him. But he could have done it on his phone. It's just everything's a little bit easier now just with the technology. And these apps are free and they work great. So he's definitely worth a follow if you get a chance on Instagram. Again, common mistakes. Don't post a bunch at one time. It is awful. Don't go off topic. Don't post low quality things. Just be a human. Just be a human, please. Don't just let people comment without engaging with them, because every time you engage back, then they comment back. The more times they comment, the more engagement levels go up, which means Instagram's like, hey, this is really good, and it goes up, and then people actually like feel like you've connected with them, so they like you. They'll come back. They will like your stuff more. They'll comment on your stuff more. You're building a relationship through the community, which honestly is the really fun part of the whole thing. Don't alienate your followers. So don't get political on there. I mean, unless it's something you really like, it's your account. Do whatever you want. But it's easy to offend people or have them just be like, I don't like that. Some people won't follow because of any number of things. So just be aware of that. And then your handle, which is your name, right? So it's Camy's Garage. Well, now you know that, honestly, his is a little bit more vague. It could be a car shop, right? He could be doing car stuff. But when you see it and then you know it's Camy's Garage, you're like, okay, I understand what's going on there. If it has woodworks or it has wood turning or it has any of those kind of things, people understand just by looking at your name, and they understand there's kind of an understanding between the two of you of what's going on, and so they're willing to engage there. Okay. So there's a freeze frame. If you're going to do a video, and when you're posting your video, on the bottom right, there's the frame, and you can choose where that frame is, and I'll show you that in a second. Take the time to write something. It doesn't have to be super lengthy, but it does need to be honest. So be human. This goes back to being human. If you feel like a corporation, guess what? People don't like following corporations for the most part. They really don't. And so be human. People like following humans. You can sell right from your page. So Richard, who I was talking about earlier, with the bowls and his kid, I asked him, I said, hey, would you do a mini demo on selling on Etsy? And he goes, I don't sell on Etsy anymore. And he sold a bunch on Etsy. I was like, well, why not? He said, because I sell everything through Instagram. I post it, and before I could even take more pictures, it's already sold. Someone reaches out and says, I want to buy that, and they buy it. He sent me a video the other day. He's got probably 200 bowls roughed out all over his house. Like he sent me like video after video of like, here's this room, and then here's this room, and it's insane. And he makes a ton of bowls, and he sells all of them just on Instagram. Okay. Find an account you love. Here's a tip. Find an account you love, find a voice that you love, and then try to kind of mimic it, but also make it your own. This is a big tactic in public speaking, where they say you need to find a public speaker that is someone that you just adore the way that they do it. And then you kind of take on that persona, but make it your own. And so that way you're kind of seeing what is successful in my eyes, and then how can I make that the same. So do the same thing. Like, look at these different accounts that are doing a great work, and you're like, well, what are they doing that make people like them? I love them. I want to be more like that. You can do something similar, right? And then your top 9. Your top 9 is those top 9 photos on your profile, and they gotta be great. So Be really careful about putting junk in there or weird graphics or things. If you really have to do something like that, you can go delete it later, but just make sure your top 9 looks nice. And then you can find content everywhere. So this is the vacation one I was talking about. We were on vacation up at the Olympic National Park, and I read about this thing, this one place, the Olympic, and I was like, yeah, no, non-negotiable. We have to go there. Yeah, that's a spruce burl. It is massive. Well, I was, a couple 100 miles away from home. I wasn't wood turning. I didn't have a lot of content to share. I took this photo, and I think it got like 7,000 likes on because look at it. You can find content anywhere. I've been in San Francisco at a fancy hotel where I look up and there's a wood turning there, and I go click. Hey, I'm in San Francisco in a hotel. Love seeing wood turning all over the place. Post, and people commented on it. So you can find things everywhere. You just have to think outside the box. You take a picture of your lathe, and now all of a sudden Powermatic is sharing it. Right? Okay. Common questions and concerns. I only turn once a week. I think we already talked about that one. So post daily. Take a bunch of pictures at once. Post daily. But I really want to post pictures that are not turning related. How should I do that? Totally fine. You want to post pictures about your kids or your vacations or whatever? Fine. Totally fine. Make a separate account. Make a personal account. Lock it down on privacy, and you can post any of that kind of stuff. One of the rules I should talk about on courtesy is never post a picture of someone without their permission. So you shouldn't be taking pictures of even your grandkids. Do not take a picture of them and post it without kind of getting permission. You don't know what's going on. There's always creepers out there, and you have to be careful. And so you want to make sure you get permission on those kind of things first. But have a personal account that just has great privacy locked down on it, where you have to accept people to follow you, and the privacy is locked down. And then have your wood turning one that's just wide open that anyone can follow. Right? I don't have an expensive camera. Actually, the cameras on your phones, if you have an iPhone within the last couple of years, those cameras are phenomenal. They work the best in daylight. So if you're going to take a nice photo and you don't have nice lighting, you can build a cheap little white box, put it in there, take it outside, not in direct sunlight, but outside, and those new phones will take phenomenal photos. They don't do well under fluorescence. They do pretty well, but not great. So keep that in mind. I don't have time. Do what you can. Do what you want. I mean, is this something you want to do? If it's not, then why are you pushing yourself to do it? And you can do it while you're sitting down watching a movie and it's kind of a slow spot and you're like, oh, I have that picture, and you jump on, you post it real quick, 5 minutes, you're done. I don't like being in front of a camera. There's a lot of turners that aren't in front of cameras that just have. Steve Jones was one we talked about from the tree. He's on Instagram, does amazing stuff. Like his is really cool. I like following his account a lot. He is never on camera. You don't have to be on camera to have personality. I can't hold the camera and turn at the same time. You shouldn't. You shouldn't hold the camera and turn at the same time. Lots of these people have tripods. They'll have a tripod, or they'll have a thing that they can hook onto their lathe that has a little arm that comes up. Best is not hooking things to your lathe because the cameras will shake. Your lathe is shaking. So do a tripod or an arm that comes down. There's lots and lots and lots of solutions on how to do that. Or have someone else hold the camera. That works pretty well. Slow growth is going to be very slow in the beginning, right? You're going to get your first 40 people because they're all your friends and family that are all going to follow you right away, unless you have a big name. If you have a big name, there's big name turners that haven't posted once on their Instagram. They just built it and they have 500, 600 followers just because they're a big name. Your first ones are going to be easy, the first 40 or so, because everyone's like, oh, I didn't know that, Jeremy was on Instagram, and then follow you. Your first 1,000 are going to be hard. It gets a lot easier after 1,000. I don't know why, but 1,000 is kind of a magic number. It gets easier. That's everyone I've talked to says that, and it was true for me too. Okay, before we do that, I am going to start this up, and here's a little video, and we will I want to show you kind of what's going on here. So this is your top 9 like I talked about. So that's what your account's going to look like at the very top. That's your top 9. You can see the edit profile at the top. You want to go in, edit your profile, a nice photo of you on the top left. I put my logo, but write something about you. Now, I just click that plus button on the top left, and that's where you're going to find the feed, stories, IGTV, reels. That's how you're going to add all those like kind of extra features, right? So let's go ahead. I just hit the plus sign at the very bottom, which is adding a new video or photo. So here's that video. I'm going to go ahead and post it. So there's the video, and then on the very bottom right, there's cover. See that cover? There we go. I just clicked it. Move it to a spot that looks good. If it's a black box in the very beginning of a video, no one's going to watch it. It's going to be very, very low. So this is when you go to post, you're actually going to write something in a description here. So I don't know. I was recording this and struggling to come up with something clever while I was writing this. So then you're going to see that tag button, the add location button. Add location, if you sell locally, add location is great. You should be adding location on every one of your posts if you're gaining a local following. So here I put tag, and I'm going to tag myself in it. It's my work. And then you can do hashtags. So it doesn't have to be crazy. I'm going to do, I think, Woodturners of Instagram, Woodturners _worldwide, Woodturners worldwide, whatever. All of those are great. You could also be tagging anyone else in there, any of the big brands that you've been thinking about. And boom, it's going to be posted. And now it's at the top of everyone's feed. And it was that easy. We posted that video there. There's going to be a lot more to it that you can do if you really want to. You see that little hour or the spyglass at the bottom left? That's how you actually look for things. So if you click on that one, you can actually search for people. Oh, here, that's how you look at the actual stats. So that was Jason Clark. That's his Return to Saturn Bowl that he's actually demoing later in the symposium here. And you can see all these numbers here and what they mean, the likes, comments, shares, and saves. That's what across the top in order. That's what that means. Okay. And so you can swipe and see his too, which is kind of fun. So here we go. So Richard Kennedy, he actually showed this bowl in the demo. You can see 2,800 people liked this one, 35 people commented on it, 77 people shared it with someone else. That's growth, because those people are like, that's awesome. Then they go follow you. 64,000 accounts were reached with that post alone, right? So the growth, the opportunity to be able to share and help people see things is huge on this platform still, because there's a lot of organic ability still to grow and share. They do really well with sharing. There's some apps, like some that just don't. You just can't share well with others. Here's Carter & Son. So I did the little hourglass or the spyglass at the bottom, and there's a bunch of junk videos that show up. They just are trying to get you to follow other ridiculous people. So let's do a hashtag search. So I'm going to do hashtag Woodturners of Instagram. I clicked it, and now there's 50,000 posts there of this one. So a lot of people use it. There's a top and a recent. So if you see here, top, and I just switched over to recent. So these are going to be in order of when they were shared, the most recent being at the top. The top one is just the biggest ones most recently that have been shared. Oh, I like that one. Scrolling down. Oh, I like this pen. Okay, look at that. And all of a sudden you go, oh, you know what? I actually did like that person. When they shared that, I'm going to follow them. So I'm going to go back to this one. Oh, that was a really cool piece. They did a tiny turning, I think, for the contest. Thanks. Just pens, not bits. And I'm going to follow them. Like, oh, that's some cool stuff. If you put your thumb and hold it on your phone, they'll pop up, and then you let your thumb off, and they drop down. Or you can just click it, and it pops up. So, hey, you know what? I like that work. That's pretty cool. Boom, follow them. Okay? And then here is that heart button at the bottom. Every time someone comments about you, or they comment on your post, or they like one of the pieces you did, or they follow you, it'll all show up here. But know that the big brands I'll get hundreds of those a day. I am not going to find it. It's just going to be lost. But if you actually tag me in your work, or do the hashtag, I can see it a lot easier, and especially in the stories. So this is the stories. I just clicked on her story and go through, and you can just kind of, on the right side, if you just tap your thumb, doop, 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 it'll just click, 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 click through. She builds a very good brand on mothers, right? So she's very relatable. She's selling captive ring baby rattles. So be related. She knows her audience, and she plays to that audience. So I hope that this helped. I hope it kind of inspired you a little bit to get in. Don't be afraid. It's okay. Like, get in, break it. I did just a video call with someone the other day where I just kind of walked them through how to get started. You just download the app. So go to the App Store and download it, and you can just get started. There's a lot of tutorials online as well. Don't be afraid of breaking things. It's totally fine. Get in. Just figure things out. Play with it. Try the newest features. That's how you're going to get the most exposure. And just don't be afraid. Have fun with it. It's a great way to meet new people. It's a great way to get your work out there, get a little bit more exposure. It's a great way to sell things. I love just connecting with other people. And if you ask most of the people on Instagram, they're like, oh no, I do it because I like connecting with people. I learned some new skills because everyone does little tips and tricks, or everyone does a little bit different. Do be aware that people that do things that are unsafe are also on here. So be aware of that. But it's just a great way to connect people. And Instagram is actually, most of the people that I know that's on Instagram, especially in the woodturning community, are really good about connecting back. So Richard Finley is fantastic. He's on here. He answers questions all the time. So go in, connect with people. They're usually really good about answering back. They love that engagement. And we just all grow accounts together, honestly, helping each other out. And so go on, download, get started. Most of these tips I shared with you are kind of, they seem more general. That's totally fine. It's because they are going to work forever. I want you to understand the basic concepts behind what's happening so that no matter what platform you're on, you're going to do well at it. And then obviously, I think Instagram is probably one of the best platforms right now. YouTube's fantastic as well if you're able to put the resources into it. But if you're just like me and you don't have hours to put videos together, Instagram is a great place to do it, and really rely on some of those apps that can help you build content faster and then build value for other people, especially some of those companies, because they're going to be able to just turn around and share your work and build you as well. So add value, have a good time, don't spam people, be consistent, and just always increase engagement and just connect with people. And that's what it's all about. Hey, thank you so much for coming to the symposium and for coming to my lecture. I know that there's much better wood turning demonstrations than this one, and I'm glad that we spent some time together. So thanks. I do have a live Q&A after this where you can ask me, give me your handle on Instagram, and I'll actually go into it, and then I'll give you kind of a live critique on what I think you could do better to increase engagement, and you can just ask questions then as well. So we'll see you then. Thanks. Bye.